Here we go. One more and we'll get started here. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is it called when you are allowing the client to talk about whatever they want? You don't really interfere. You can ask them like simple questions, but you don't really interfere. If they want to talk about chicken coops, they can talk about chicken coops. What is it called? I said therapy, not psychoanalysis. What is it, Carly? Non-directive. All right. So yesterday we started talking about Gestalt. We started talking about some of the bigger components. Now today we're going to get into a lot of the harder stuff. The problem with everything we did talk about before is just kind of hard. So there's just a lot going on. Tomorrow, I'm going to have like a little flow chart kind of thing, and we'll sit there and kind of chart them all out and kind of graph them together. Would that help? Yeah. Just kind of group everything together, because like your study guide's good, but it's kind of all over the place a little bit. So, all right. Yesterday, we did get to systematic desensitization. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. All right. So, we talked about, as I asked you yesterday, showed you a spider as we did to the board. I showed you the spider, then the fuzzy stuffed animal, then showed you a spider in a jar, the spider on a table to help you kind of get over your phobia. Counter conditioning is replacing old conditioned responses with a new one by changing the unconditioned stimulus. What that means is, if you're afraid of spiders, we make spiders fun. Have you ever read the little kid's book, Miss Spider? And like she has like crazy hats. She does like crazy thing, like she likes to bake like 8 pies or 6 pies or how many legs she has. How many legs does she have? If she's a spider? 8. It's always a mystery. Apparently I failed that in elementary school because all of you nailed it. And I clearly did not retain. It's fine. So there's a lot of children's books about scary things. And the reason is to kind of counter condition us to not be afraid of certain things. Like if you go to a children's section, you're going to see books about spiders, snakes, bats. You're going to see like the nonfiction ones. Of course, the kids are interested in them. But you're also going to see where they're kind of in funny positions, wearing funny things to make them more fun and not so scary. That's counter conditioning. When we talk about behavioral therapy, one of the biggest things that you are going to see if you do participate in behavioral therapy is going to be on aversion therapy. Now, keep in mind, behavioral therapy doesn't ask the question why. They don't care about why you're terrified of snakes. Okay? They don't ask why. They only ask, what are you scared of or what's the problem? Okay, let's fix it. So one of the simplest ways you may have done aversion therapy is, anyone ever worn a rubber band and smacked it every time they thought of something or wanted something? Yes? Okay. Did it work, or did you just take off the rubber band?
No, yeah, it worked. It was like to get me to stop biting my nails.
There you go. Or you could have done the nail polish. That tastes really nasty. That's also aversion therapy. Okay. Not a lot of people, thank God. But some dog owners have electrified collars.
Like electric fence.
You have one?
Well, not for me, but I my dog.
Oh, not for
Okay. So people, like for instance, there's a dog at our dog park. His name's Phil. And
That's
his name.
That's so Phil.
It's so funny.
That's such a
Like,
weird
and they're
dog.
like, he's a service dog. So Phil's dad is a surgeon who has diabetes. And so Phil is a service dog, and he goes, like, he even has a little outfit that he wears into surgery. It's the cutest thing. And he just stands next to his, I have no idea what his dad's name is, by the way. No idea. But Phil goes into surgery with him and just keeps track of his blood sugar.
How do you know that?
How does the dog
Smell
keep track
it.
of his blood sugar?
Because they can sense that stuff. I don't know. It's like a thing.
Smell or something?
I don't know. My dog
That is
eats
so
other
weird.
dogs' poop. That is not for him. Like, that's not something he's going to strive
How
for.
do you know all this stuff about Phil?
Because we're at the dog park every day together.
I know, but does
So
it tell
how do
you?
you know?
Well, yeah, he's a service dog.
Phil told you?
How do you know
Yeah.
the
Smart dog.
Yeah, Phil's dad told me all of this.
How do you know?
How do you know?
Because everyone in Channelside knows Toby. Because all you hear is me, Toby! Everyone knows Toby. People have no idea what my name is. I can identify dogs like crazy, and Channelside don't. I only know like 2 people's actual names.
There's that dog lady. You know.
No. No. When was that?
Like 4 months ago.
No. I have a dog named Toby. Everyone in Channelside knows Toby because all you do is hear me yell Toby. Phil has had an electrified collar on him because there was one dog he loved.
It's true.
Oh,
And he really was passionate. Thank
Romeo
God they
and
moved, so
Juliet.
Phil got his collar removed, but he just couldn't help himself. So he had on an electrified collar. That was to stop him from showing this little dog. It was like a big black lab, and it was like this little dog and how much he loved
That
him.
was for punishment?
Yeah, that's a version.
Oh, mine's just for like a electric fence.
Oh, no, this was a punishment. Phil's dad had the little bud.
So mean.
It is mean.
What if he like sits
It's
on
Romeo and Juliet.
Well, he
it?
oh my God. We're done with Phil. We're done with Phil. We're moving on. Okay, alright, then your next one is your flooding. I think flooding is incredibly cruel. So if you're afraid of spiders, what your therapist would do is throw a ton of spiders on you.
I
Oh
punch
my
him in
God,
the face.
literally done.
Okay? They'd throw a bunch of spiders on you because you would just lose your mind, but you would live, wouldn't you?
No.
I
Just like, I don't know
It
about
depends.
Okay?
Actually, people like
You can
they
die
get a
of
heart attack.
Oh my God, okay, fine. Whatever. You're gonna live essentially. So, flooding is a technique used. Another stress disorder in which a person is rapidly and intensely exposed to fear-provoking situations. It's supposed to prevent them from making the usual avoidance or escape response. You have to directly confront something. It's just like, oh my God, let's go down this dark hallway. Oh my God, this is so much fun. And then pushing someone on stage in front of a ton of people. That would be a flooding as well. If
For skydiving, they don't want to.
I think you would probably know if you're in the little plane.
I know, but they'd be like, oh, that's pretty cool. Just,
No, flooding, it's a surprise.
okay.
You can't say, by the way, Brooke, I know you have a severe phobia of spiders. I know it. But in like 4 minutes, I'm just going to go grab a bunch of spiders and come back. Is that really going to work?
Figured it out.
No, absolutely not. If Brooke, who doesn't have a true phobia of spiders, you probably just don't like them, right? If I told you, hey, by the way, I'll be right back with like a bucket full of spiders, just wait 4 minutes, I'll be right back. Are you going to sit in the seat or are you going to leave? Exactly. So it has to be a surprise, and that's the biggest component of it. So it's just when you overwhelm them with whatever they're afraid of to try to like get them to confront it without being able to escape. Does that mean?
Does it work?
Yeah, it does. However, there's been a couple great SVU episodes where they've done flooding and it just did not go well. All right, are we good? Perfect. All right, so other types of therapy for behavior therapy that we do is modeling. When we talk about behavior therapy, it is actually trying to change a person's behavior. Like I said, my example for the beginning of this behavioral example was that I'm terrible at meeting people, remember? Yes? Hello? If I was going to be anyone here like really good at meeting people? Really? Okay, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Hunter, really?
Yeah.
Alright. That's interesting. Allie can talk to a wall. You could. You are a very chatty person. True, not true? That's not a dig. I can't do it. But you can. You can strike up a conversation. My mom can talk to anyone. Or a wall. Or an elephant. I mean, she'll talk to anything. Okay? That's like a skill she has, which is great because now she's a teacher and she also sells real estate on the side. It makes her job so much easier because she can literally strike up a conversation with anyone and find something to talk about and have like a meaningful conversation. That's a skill. I sit there and say, hi, I'm Sam. Yeah. Okay, so when we talk about behavioral therapy, modeling is a big component of it. If I really wanted to seek help with my social awkwardness, I would have someone, Ellie or Hunter, like start a conversation with someone and I would sit there and be like, oh my God. Have you seen, what's the movie with Steve Carell and that beautiful Ryan Gosling? Where he is,
Crazy Stupid Love.
Crazy Stupid Love. What Ryan Gosling, that beautiful man, is doing is modeling for Steve Carell, figuring out how to be a ladies' man, how to like dress, how to act, how to talk to women, all that. Yes? Okay, there you go. That's a good one. All right, so there's two different types of modeling. There's participant modeling, where a model demonstrates the desired behavior in a step-by-step gradual process while the client is encouraged to imitate the model. One by one, you do step by step. So I would talk about, maybe me and my therapist would sit in the room and come up with easy conversation topics. Like, oh my God, did you hear about the FBI hearing yesterday on the Senate? My therapist would say, that's probably not a good conversation starter. And I'd be like, oh man, but I could really talk about that. And then I would say, okay. And then I would say, you know, I don't know. That's really the only thing I've been reading about today. Or I could talk about Beauty and the Beast. My therapist would say, oh my God, that's a great conversation. Most people have seen it. Who here has seen Beauty and the Beast? Did you sing along?
Yes.
I did. Oh, I out loud. It was good. It was good. All right. When we talk about behavior therapy, it's all about reinforcement. Strengthening a response by following with a pleasurable consequence or removing of an unpleasant stimulus. Now, say for instance, with my therapist, I've been sitting in therapy and we've been coming up with icebreakers. How to say hello and have something else to say. Hello, my name's Sam. Instead of just standing there smiling and awkwardly and then just abruptly leaving, I would go and use some of the skills. Have you seen Beauty and the Beast? This is the only thing my therapist... Oh my God, yes, I have. This is what my therapist... Okay? However, if I was in the real world and I came up against someone like Brooke, but who was not as lovely as Brooke, and he was like, ew, stop talking to me, would that be a good thing or a bad thing for my development? Bad, absolutely. So when we talk about reinforcement, it's got to be positive reinforcement in order to eradicate whatever we're trying to change. Does that make sense? So in your application, you have to talk about how it has to be a positive experience. So say for instance, if in Crazy Stupid Love, if Steve Carell, every time he tried to pick up a woman, was completely rejected every single time, would Steve Carell keep trying or just quit? He would quit. So the reinforcement needs to remove a negative or get the response that you want. Does that make sense? Yes? Everyone good? Good. All right. So one ways that we can do reinforcement is through a token economy, which we've talked about before. What is a perfect example of a token economy? What do you got, Erin?
When you're like elementary school, you can answer it, so you get a sticker.
Yes. I like the gold stickers. I'm not gonna lie.
No, that's pretty good. Like,
Yeah.
like in first grade, if we had good behavior, we'd get like a full sticker. If we were like okay, we'd get half, and then that's what we just.
Not if you're just normal.
No, horrible.
Oh, I was like normal. Gosh,
Yeah, no,
what's wrong with being normal? Hunter?
Paid job.
Okay, no. Bonuses at your paid job would be a token economy. Does that make sense? Jobs are a little bit different. Anyone here in Ren have Ren? Ren works on a token economy. That's how his whole classroom works. His Ren Bucks, is that what he calls them?
Billy
Billy Bucks. There you go. He has his whole Billy Bucks. After you get so many Billy Bucks, you can buy notes on tests. You know, it's way too complicated for me. My simple brain just cannot handle it. But he does that whole little system. And one of the best teachers I've ever seen, Miss Naherney, she used to have a token economy. She used to take the lowest kids in our school, which was in the school I worked in St. Johns County, lowest kids in the school and bump them up, like years of improvement in a year. Like, she's phenomenal. She went to Princeton. Oh my God, she's like phenomenal. Naherney. Anyway, she had a token economy. She would have all these like amazing prizes that she would buy with all of her grants because she's like phenomenal. She like travels the country talking to teachers and inspiring them because she's like, and she uses a token economy. So after you really made huge improvements for yourself, not by like grade wise, but like, you know, you've been struggling with this one thing and you really got it, you got to go into the box and it was like good stuff, not like crappy like plastic like rings. You know, what do you got?
Oh, like gold and black.
Gold and black cards. Yeah, that's a token economy. Yeah, there you go. All right, so contingency contract. This is a new word you have not heard. Token economy you've heard before. Contingency contract is a formal written agreement between the therapist and the client, or teacher and student, which goes for behavioral change. Some of you may have, or you know someone who has a 504 educational plan or an individual education plan, which there's tons of them here at school. Lots of people have them for different reasons. They're very, very common. With that being said, most of those students sign a contingency contract saying that if I do this, this is what I get from it. Okay? They're pretty effective, especially in lower classes, and especially in lower grades. And they're pretty effective here in high school. I have my master's in special education, by the way. And at Wharton, I did a lot with the special needs. I had the lowest kids in the school with their reading scores in my social studies classes, and that's how we kind of built up Wharton from a C to a B+, which was so exciting in the 3 years I was there. And one of the things we did was we did contingency contracts, that if they were doing exactly as I asked, after like 3 weeks, we would do one day, the kids get to decide what we do. So it wasn't like me buying them ice cream or stuff like that, but it was like something we would spend one day and we would watch something and I'd have a bunch of options and they get to pick what we do that day. We also had, if they had a class average above a certain score and they all agreed over a certain score, we'd have class wars where I would keep their average up on the board every single week, and whoever had the most weeks of the highest average got a pizza party or an ice cream party or whatever they wanted. Those are contingency contracts. It's a way of holding people accountable. What?
So I feel like this drum stuff kind of does something like that. If you get like the highest class average, you get like extra credit. Would that be it, or is that like?
No, it's like a sign thing.
Oh, okay.
Everyone, the contract is the biggest thing, and it's a sign thing.
Okay.
So on your application, I would write it's a signed contract. Like, Erin, you're going to say, I will do everything Miss Bennett says if I get an ice cream party after 3 weeks of doing it. And then Miss Bennett would say, as long as Erin does everything I'm telling her, she will get an ice cream party in 3 weeks. We both sign it, and we hold each other accountable. You'll say, Miss Bennett, you're not doing your job. And I'll say, Erin, you're definitely not doing your job. And we hold each other accountable. Kayla.
Is it like when you ask people to sponsor you for like a dance con or welcome or something?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, it's getting kind of far out there, but yeah. Like, for instance, when my sister first started doing therapy when she was like in 5th or 6th grade, wherever you are, 13, what are you, 6th grade?
13.
You're at, like,
7th
grade.
grade.
5th grade?
You're like
That was
10.
good.
Yeah, you're like.
I don't actually know. Like, a lot. I don't know. I don't have kids. I don't hang out with them. Anyway, she had a contingency contract. As long as my sister showed up and was, like, willing to, like, participate, they would go get, like, Starbucks, or her therapist would have, like, a little treat for her after, like, every 5th session of, like, doing the right thing and coming. Also, my parents had a contingency contract. She didn't like taking her antidepressants. So my parents had a contingency. If she did a whole month of antidepressants without an issue and taking them and not just like throwing them away or whatever, she would get to pick dinner for the whole family on, one day. Get to do whatever she wanted to do. We could go bowling, which is the thing I hate the most in the world. I hate bowling so much. I mean, I hate bowling more than like murder. Like, I hate it. I hate it so much. I also hate mini golf.
Yeah,
I know, they're awful. They're so stupid.
Yeah.
I'm actually pretty athletic and pretty coordinated. I'm actually not horrific. I don't practice, so it's not a skill I would like, oh wow. But no, I just hate them. I think they're so stupid. And they're so expensive for nothing. So stupid. I hate it so much. I'll take this. Alright, so extinction. The removal of reinforce to reduce the frequency of a behavior. If you don't reinforce it appropriately, you can have extinction. Like, my sister doesn't get to pick pick dinner for the whole family anymore if she takes her antidepressants. Does that make sense? There was a couple times where she stopped taking her meds, and that was because the reinforcement wasn't there. But just like with Toby that I was talking about yesterday, is that every time he sits in the elevator, he used to get a treat. Well, if I do that, I'm going to go bankrupt. Can we agree? So now it's partial reinforcement. Sometimes I give him treats, sometimes I don't. He doesn't know if that's the time or not. So he's always sitting there and he's just like looking at me like, I'm going to sit. I'm going to sit. And then sometimes I give him a treat, sometimes you don't. That partial reinforcement is keeping the behavior going and is the most reliable. All right, are we good? Hello? All right, so if you look on your focus, you could have filled out some of this stuff. So good for you. So let's get to cognitive therapy, shall we? It's pretty effective. However, you're not addressing the causes. All right, so cognitive therapy. Cognitive therapy. I hope you don't mind that I'm kind of just pushing through. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Are we grasping this? I'll make little charts, a little flow chart for you tomorrow. Is that okay? Because the hardest stuff is the biomedical. We haven't even touched that yet. It's too soon. It's fine. It's fine. So cognitive therapy is therapy in which the focus is helping clients recognize distortions in their own thinking. Now, hopefully, as we've been talking about therapy, you've been making connections to disorders. We are talking about, here is your cognitive, here is your psychoanalytic, all that stuff, the causes. Hello? Now we're looking at the therapy. So every single time we talked about a disorder, we always talked about, it's illogical thinking patterns, correct? Now we're going to be analyzing those illogical thinking patterns and trying to change it. So it's trying to replace disordered or unrealistic beliefs with more realistic or more helpful thoughts. So my sister has had a lot going on for a long time, struggling with her depression. It's affected her self-esteem. It's affected her ability to interact with others because of her low self-esteem and all that stuff. For a while there, I think my sister had this big delusion that her Prince Charming was just going to show up at her front door and just say, Kim, I've been waiting for you. And my sister would be like, oh, jeez. And then fall into his arms, and then they would be like running off into the sunset, and that's how it was going to go. Because my sister was kind of like, I'm just sitting here waiting for my soulmate, but she never went out, never did anything, like put no effort into like trying to meet people. But it was the weirdest thing. And she watches all these like super romantic movies where guess what? Prince Charming just shows up, and you just like fall into their arms, and then happily ever after. Eventually, she figured it out, and now she went on Match.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's on Match. She dated a couple people from Match, and she's now dating a guy.
From the boyfriend.
Yeah, she has a boyfriend.
The one you don't like.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of him, but like, so she's happy, I think. I don't know, Kim. So she's happy-ish. He's good to her, I guess. I don't really know. He's had like 6 jobs in like a year. I'm not really sure. Like, yeah, that's a lot, right? That's a lot. But hey, it's fine. So cognitive therapy is kind of sorting out those illogical patterns. So my sister has always thought people would just show up and, sweep her off her feet. Eventually, she figured out Prince Charming wasn't going to knock on the door. All you have to do is like poke him. Isn't that what you do on Match? Isn't that what you do? Like you shoot I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never been on them. And I'm very grateful for that. I'm very grateful for that. This is not photographed well. You know what I mean? Like, could you imagine what my profile picture would be? I'd get it'd be awful. It'd be so bad. Alright, so cognitive distortions based on Beck's cognitive therapy. You have arbitrary inference, which is distortion of thinking which a person draws conclusions that's not based on any evidence. Okay, I have to make this connection, okay, because it was proven yesterday, okay? So, Donald Trump has made an arbitrary inference with this whole wiretapping thing, okay? It has been proven by the CIA, the FBI, and national security, unless it's a huge conspiracy and everyone's in on it. I mean, that's your own personal decision. He has no evidence that Obama wiretapped him. Everyone says it doesn't exist, and even the British government who got pulled into it is like, you've got to be kidding me, we're not involved in this. Okay? That would be an arbitrary inference. There is no evidence to prove anywhere. But he is determined to believe it, and so is Spicer. Spicer's still holding strong to that podium, saying, well, not all evidence has been reviewed. So, today we get to see more. It's going to be an exciting day as well. All right, so that's an arbitrary inference. Selective thinking is the next one. It's a distortion of thinking in which a person focuses only on one aspect of a situation while ignoring all relevant things. Every single one of us has done this, correct? How many times did you have an absolutely wonderful day, you enjoyed everyone you were with, and one person makes kind of a crappy comment? Not a super crappy comment, but a kind of a crappy comment, and it's the only thing you can think about, correct? Hello? Like, you had like a wonderful day. You laughed all day. You ate amazing food. You hung out. It was wonderful. And someone made a joke about how ugly your shoes were, and it's the only thing you can think of, and everything's awful, and your day's ruined, right? Okay? That's selective thinking. Yes?
Is cognitive therapy the same thing as Beck's cognitive therapy?
Yes. Yeah, everything about cognitive therapy is based on Beck, which is number 8 on your focus, by the way. If you're playing that Let's Get Some Work Done, which is not what my man Josh is doing over here. We just filled in that whole next page you just turned to. See, Miss Barr's been over here like crushing it. Look at Miss Barr. She's killing it, man. We're just lounging, maxing, and relaxing. Okay, so cognitive therapy is when you start thinking about your illogical thinking patterns. All right, see ya.